Savitur-Varenyam Varenyagum Savitur-Savitur-Varenyam Savitur-Varenyam Varenyagum Savitur-Varenyam Bhargo Varenyagum Savitur-Varenyam Bhargaha Varenyam Bhargo Varenyam Bhargo Devasya Bhargo Varenyam Bhargo Devasya Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Devasya Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Devasya Dhimahi Devasya Dhimahi Dhimahi Dhiyo yo dhiyo yo no yo dhiyo yo naha yo no yo na prachodayat no yo na prachodayat na prachodayat no na prachodayat prachodayaditi prachodayat Om Shanti 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 Om Sri Sai Ram. In the morning, we contemplated on what BABA as a way of awareness and alertness. Baba is not the human body as we think of. He is the awareness and He is the alertness. When we actually deploy the sadhana in the context of purifying our thought, word and action, Trikarana Shuddhi, purity of thought, purity of word and purity of action. When this is a way of life, this way of life is a means to an end. We all talk about Guru. There are three things I was mentioning this morning. Guri, Guru, Giri. Guru, Guri. Guri in Telugu means target, the goal. Guru is the one who points you to the goal. He doesn't take you to the goal. He points you towards the goal. This is very important to understand. Giri means what we accomplish after we reach the target. The end of education is character. The end of wisdom is, Swami has 4 beautiful quotes. He says, it is the most important thing and fascinating thing for me. With Swami, he has totally rewritten the alphabet for his devotees. And I know we are going to hear from Brother Arun and Dayal Bhai about the school. The education is what we are talking about. But the context of education in Sai world is very different from the context of education in the rational world. When we start A, B, C, D, A stands for, what are you taught in the school? A stands for? Apple. A for apple. Apple. A for apple. iMac, iPhone, iPad, iPaid. A for apple. Next letter is B for boy. C for cat. D for, hello, you all didn't learn this? Excuse me, why are you not saying it back? Huh? We all learn the same way, no? A for apple, B for boy, C for cat, D for dog. No. So when your education starts with that, which is what? A for apple. Indulge in the Apple world. Internet. B for boy. All good old boy networks. And then what happens? You're caught up in the Apple world, good old boy networks. You're running around like cats and dogs for earning a livelihood. A, B, C, D. That's how our life has become, isn't it? Am I saying anything that you disagree with? I am no exception. Every one of us is the same thing. A for apple, B for boy, C for cat, D for dog. What we are taught with as education becomes our way of life. Understand this very clearly. What we are imprinted as children becomes our life, because the instincts are programmed by what you are taught in childhood. Baba, black sheep. Life becomes black sheep only. Baba, black sheep. Huh? Twinkle, twinkle, little star, how I wonder what. This is what we are taught. I am not making fun of the education. I am trying to make a point here, which is what we are starts with the instincts. The instincts impel, the impulses ideate, ideas act, actions habituate, habits characterize. So our character is starting with what? So you didn't pay any attention, thank you very much. Instincts. Our instincts are the one that cause the impulses. Our impulses become ideas. Our ideas become actions. Our actions become habits. And our habits turn into character. When the instincts are programmed with the 3 W's I talked about, the woman, wine and the wealth. The power, the wealth and the desire. The character also becomes that. So when we look at what the role models of the society today are, they are all programmed with the 3 W's we talked about. The internet W's, not the internet W's. But the real guru, you see, he programs us completely differently. In the olden days, the gurus programmed the children from childhood in Gurukulam so that they first became spiritual, then became associated consciousness, then talked about their individual consciousness. S, spiritual consciousness. A, association consciousness. I, individual consciousness. But today's world is exactly reverse. It is not, if you reverse SAI, what does it become? IAS, Indian Administrative Service. The reverse of SAI is IAS. Because it starts with I first. Then it starts with association. Spirituality is the last. So Bhagavan made it very beautifully. Jesus first, others next, last you. What is that? Joy. Jesus first, others next, last is you. That is Sai. Spirituality first, association consciousness next, individuality, the I is the last. We talked about the SAI as a way of life in the morning. Right? Now we are talking about a different concept altogether. The context of first we should be spiritually grounded, then you go into the society and build your association consciousness so that the I is lost. The I is the least. I is the most negligible thing. You see, the little I is the most negligible thing. But we are programmed completely differently. Everything starts with I. Yes? Negligible. Oh, negligible means what? Translate into? Negligible means almost nothing. Okay? So we have to put our selfishness the last. The you should be the last. The first should start with the consciousness of spirituality. And the spiritual consciousness is built from the childhood through a guru in the olden days. You take those olden days of Gurukulam, as young as 6-year-old, the child is out of the home to go live with the guru, to serve the guru, to get all the spiritual education. Then they are unleashed into the society and therefore they serve the society. How much work Baba has to do to unprogram us to reprogram? We are programmed from childhood nowadays. In fact, if we leave the home so early, people will be very unhappy. Even if you have grandchildren, you should stay at home only. That's the Indians I'm talking. The other way around is we are not grounded in the spirit of harmony. We are always given the spirit of conquest. Go win, go win, go win. You got to win at any cost, you see. If you don't win, you are a fool. You are not succeeded. You are failure. That's how we are programmed. So people go out into this conquest to win at any cost. But the alphabet of life, if it is taught properly, in Sanskrit alphabet, the first 4 letters are A, I, E. A, I, E. A is Aham, A, Atma, E, Idam, E, Ishvara. Aham, Atma, Idam, Ishvara. This is the most supreme spiritual learning. You don't need to go beyond 4 letters. The entire essence of spirituality is condensed in 4 letters in Sanskrit. Aham, Atma. I am the indestructible spirit, the Atma. Idam. what is everything around me? Ishvaraha. Everything around me is Ishvara. When we know the awareness that everything around us is Ishvaraha, how can we not love? How can we not serve? How is it possible that we can't love everybody? If we truly love God, we should be loving everything around us, because everything is Ishvara. Everything is Ishvara. How do we know that? We chant the Sai Gayatri. We say, Sa Ishvaraya Vidmage Satya Devaya Dhimahi Tanna Sarva Prachodayat. Aham Atma Idam Ishvaraha. A few weeks ago, when I was flying back from Croatia, Swami started teaching me on the flight the entire alphabet of English in spiritual terms. He said ABC stands for, not A for apple, B for boy, C for cat. ABC stands for always be cheerful, always be careful, always be cheerful. The first three letters, always be careful. And the D are the three Ds: discipline, devotion, determination, dedication. Now you can go through this, brothers and sisters. Sai has taught the alphabet to his devotees to live a way of life completely differently. No other master has done this. There is no biggest miracle other than Swami teaching us the alphabet of spiritual life. But in order to do that, he first needs to unleash us from what we are programmed as ignorance. There are two things we are programmed with ignorance. What are the two things that we are completely programmed of? Hello. He actually says three things. I am already giving you a clue. What are the two main things that we are programmed as? That is the way of living. We are programmed to think. Three eyes. He says there are three of you. The one who you think you are. And what is that? The body. The one who we think we are is the body. We are all having nice lunch and nice discourse, nice way to sleep off. Huh? That's why I'm asking questions, at least you start thinking, not sinking. Now after good lunch we are all sinking. But we should be thinking. So it's very difficult to think after lunch because the brain is full of glucose now. So what I was asking is the two things that we are programmed all the time, that we are the body, we are the mind. These fellows are lost, right? No, not lost? Yeah. We are always thinking we are the body. Who are you? First question. We are always asking, who are you? Where did you come from? Where do you live? How much mortgage do you pay? And all the questions related to the other person. Swami is saying completely differently. He is saying, ask the question, who am I? Where did I come from? Where am I going? How am I going to reach that goal? What is the purpose and intent of the life that God has given to me? It is not for khana, pina, sona, marna. It is to do something else. Khana means eat. Sona means sleep. Pina means drink. Marna means die. Khana, pina, sona, marna. This is the life that we have. And he is saying, reprogram us in a completely different way. In order to reprogram our thinking, what does he need to do? He needs to tell us who we are not. Because we are programmed. Who am I? I am Shekhar Buddupalli. Where do you live? Sacramento. What do you do? I am a vice president. How many children? It's all about programming of identity. And once you are attached and entangled into this identity, you cannot be free. Because first you have only 2 legs, then you get married, 4 legs, then you get children, 6 legs, then 8 legs, grandchildren. The movement is decreasing, finally becoming a millipede, centipede. First you are able to run, then what you are able to do is only crawl. One attachment after another attachment after another attachment. Movement is slowed down. Fellow cannot even run. Come on, let's go do service. I have to check with my wife. I'm not talking about you, brothers. I'm talking in California. Here you are all very, very ready to go to service. Yeah. So this unprogramming of what we are reprogrammed is a great task for the Guru. This age, the Kali Yuga Avatar Satya Sai Baba. Because in the old ages, you see, the Vasishthas, the Vishwamitras, their job was much easy. Why? Because the children were programmed to be spiritual from day 6 onwards. But for us, we realize at an age of 40, suddenly I should go to Sai Baba. Why? Because he's doing all these miracles. Perhaps he can get me the green card very quickly. So let me go figure it out. Now he's thinking, "Arey fellow, materialize करता है, रिंग देता है, ग्रीन कार्ड देता है, गुड जॉब देता है, चाइल्ड को मच्छा कॉलेज को भेजता है, ये सब करता है." You keep going to him, he keeps giving, and we keep forgetting, forgetting. His job is giving, forgiving. Our job is getting, and forgetting. And he's saying, where is the end to this? There is no end to this cycle. And he is finally waiting to ask this question. Is this fellow ever going to ask me, "Baba, what is the purpose of you creating me? What is the intent with which you have created me?" When we go ask that question, we will start following. I said the D's, the E is actually his energy. Then we get to the F. Follow the master, face the devil, fight to the end, finish the game. And this follow the master, fight the devil, finish the game and fight to the end. Face the devil, fight to the end and finish the game. That is the purpose of why God has given us life, to unprogram us. Follow the master is what we are forgetting. When we face the devil, we run to him. Devil is here, come on, please save me. And he's saying, every time trouble only this fellow comes to me. When he's happy, he never comes to me. When he's happy, he's going doing something else. How many of us take the time to acknowledge when we have a happy moment, that thank you, Swami, for giving me this happy moment. Only when we get into trouble, we want to pray to God. So, this unprogramming is Siva consciousness. Because he has to destroy something in us, who we are not. And the destruction, dissolution of who we are not is the Siva consciousness. Sadanimba vrukshasya mooladhivasa sudhasravinam tiktamapya priyantam kalpavrukshaadhikam sadhajantam namamishwaram sadgurum sainatham om kalaya namaha om kalakalaya namaha om kalatitaya namaha om kaladarpadamanaya namaha om mrityunjayaya namaha namah parvati patade ghara ghara Om are singing Hara, 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 that means dissolve, 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 dissolve. But we don't understand what we are asking. He understands what we are asking. When we are saying Hara, 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 take it away, take it away, take it away. If you really know what we are asking, we don't ask him that. Because what is it that we are asking him to dissolve? We are asking him to dissolve our identity. We are asking him to dissolve all the attachments that we have. We are asking him to dissolve so that we resolve to evolve to become him. When there is a result, when if you take a spoonful of salt or sugar and you put it in the water and you stir it, what happened? The sugar and the salt, you don't see it anymore. It is because it has dissolved. When we are asking him to dissolve our individual identity, the consciousness of the small I, now who are we asking that? Namah Parvati Pataye, Namah Shivaya. What we are asking him to dissolve so that we lost our identity and we become one with him in creation. Creator, creation. The creation is, all of it is God. But in this creation we are suspended as individuals. It's Ramakrishna Paramahamsa was asked by his devotee, Bhagavan, what is this Nirvikalpa Samadhi you have? Complete thoughtlessness. What happens in that thoughtlessness? Then Bhagavan told him very beautifully, you take a salt doll and you take this salt doll to go into the ocean and come back and tell you what is the depth of the ocean. What happens to the salt doll? Dissolve. There is no salt doll that he will come back and tell you. But here we see we are very rational people. How is God? What is God? Who is God? And we are searching for God. Swami asked me once, when they were asking me to teach Veda in California, very first time, this is long time ago, so long time ago, I don't even recollect the exact year right now. And I was sitting in darshan, and Swami comes out for question. And then he looks at me, Aim Samacharam, what's the news? I get up on my knees, I was showing him the flyer. Swami, they want me to teach Vedas in California. Oh, very happy, very happy. Please teach them with telling them the meaning of what you are teaching us. Let me tell you, I didn't know any Vedas at that time. I was totally clueless. I was not chanting any mantras. I had no idea how to even chant Vedas. The only reason why I wrote that letter and sat was, when some devotees came and asked me, please teach us Vedas, I just said, people are asking me to help them, to serve them, therefore I should do his work. So I should go sit down and Swami will take care of the rest of the stuff. So he said, very, very happy, you go teach them the meaning also. I fell on his feet and said, Swami, I don't know what to teach yet. I don't know Vedas. Oh, really? Veda, Deva. Veda, Deva. He said 5 times. Veda, Deva. And then he asked me, what is Deva? I said, Deva means God, Swami. Then he was asking question. Who is God? What is God? Where is God? How is God? Have you seen God? You know that he was up to a profound answer. I stopped thinking. I just looking at his face. Completely blank face. And then Swami said, the most absolutely phenomenal statement, until you know it is Deva, after you know it is Veda. Until you know it is Deva means what? Until you know who you are, what you will start doing is you are searching for this God outside. After you know You don't need to search. He is right here, closer to you more than your own eyelid to your eyes. Then you stop searching. Then you start enjoying the bliss. But in order to do this, the path is very simple, but we make it very complex. God is simple, everything is complex. Now I just was going through this, and then he looked at me and he said that statement, and then I looked back at him. First I was recovering, I was just trying to absorb what he was saying, and then suddenly I said, Swami, but, he said, but what? I don't know Sanskrit, Swami. What did you say? He frowned. Swami, some people told me that Swami's left ear, he can't hear properly. So I thought that's all Maya. Okay, don't believe all that stuff. And I got up and went to his right ear. He said, Swami, I don't know Sanskrit. I said, what is that? Then I realized I was not even saying the word properly. I said, oh, sorry Swami, I don't know Sanskritam. Sanskrit. And then suddenly he replied back, he asked, is that a language? And then I was looking at him and saying, what is this question he's asking? It is a language, right? I said, Swami, that's what they say. But nobody speaks. How can it be a language? See how beautiful. It's just so simple. Down to the earth. God is simple. Nobody speaks. How can it be a language? Then I said, I know that he's up to something very profound. I looked at him blank again. Then he said, Samskrutam. Krutam is to do. Samyak krutam. To do it together. And to do it. Just do it. Nike. He didn't say Nike, by the way. Just do it. You have to start doing something in order to seeing it, in order to being it. Therefore, Bhagavan said, do good, see good, be good. We have to first do good. But you see, we are all very modern people. We can't be doing stuff if we don't understand it. Everything has to be very rational, laid out. Otherwise, it's all for the stupid people who are not rational. They can't think properly. I am an intellect. Without understanding it, how can I do it? All this stuff that you're talking about, I have no clue what you're asking me to do. That's the way I know you feel. That's the way I felt when I was a kid. Yeah? But today, even the adults are more corrupt than the young ones. If the child asks, why should I do it? Oh, it's okay, honey, don't do it, they will say. Otherwise, they're afraid the guy will call 911 and the police will come and the child abuse. They're scared of all of legal lawsuits and everything. Even parents have to be very careful. Society is basically completely corrupt with fear. It's completely corrupt with fear, brothers and sisters. In fact, even we go to God because we fear God. Swami says, Daiva Priti Papa Bhiti, which is love for God, fear for sin. But today's society is completely different. Fear for God, Daiva Bhiti, Papa Priti, love for sin. Why do we have to fear God? If God is love, love is God, why do we need to fear God? Absolutely no reason to fear God. Again, we are programmed from childhood. If you don't do this, God will curse you, God will do this to you, God will do that to you. If you are a woman, you cannot be chanting Veda. If you are a white, don't even try chanting Veda. And if you are somebody else, what is all this stuff we are going around? Confused or confusing the confused. And this goes on and perpetuates in the society. The very first thing God is saying is, hey, lose fear. Lose fear first. Be a lion, not a sheep. But I have to tell the kids a story, lion and sheep. You know the story of the lion and the sheep? Okay, let's have some fun time now. Story time. Okay? Even for the adults also, you can relax now. I'm not too intense on you, am I? Okay. I'm not trying to scare you all, right? It's a loving conversation. It's a family chat. Okay? So, what happened? A lioness was carrying a cub and it was going in the forest. It sees a herd of sheep and it runs to the sheep, and in the exertion, guys, you're following the story, right? The lioness delivers a little cub and the poor thing dies. The mom died, and this little lion cub has to be now raised by the sheep. The sheep look at the lion cub and they say, oh, this little poor cub, mother died, let's take care of this little cub. So this cub was being raised by the sheep. And every day this lion cub was eating grass and it was saying, and a few years passed by. One day suddenly a huge lion came to the forest. It got onto a rock and roared at all the sheep and the cub. All the sheep ran away. The cub could not run very fast. So the cub tumbled in the grass. It looked at this beautiful, fearful thing and it said, and the lion saw this little cub and said, say, man, something wrong with this fellow. It picked up the cub, it took him to a lake, showed him his reflection. And when it saw its reflection, the cub was shocked. Said, wow. It looked at this big lion, looked at itself, and it was really shocked. Why was it shocked? Yeah, all the 15-year-olds are answering if you don't answer. And therefore it did not look like the sheep. All this time it was thinking it looked like the sheep. Suddenly it found out it doesn't look like anybody around him. It looks like this incredible guy, the big lion who scared away all his buddies. And he was so powerful, just by saying, everybody ran away. He didn't even do anything. And it suddenly realized, oh wow, I look like this guy. I must be having the same power as him. In this world, we are all the sheep. We want to behave like all the other sheep. We want to buy the same houses, same mortgages, same stock options, same stocks, everything, get into trouble all the time, get fearful, not have a fun life. Suddenly the big lion appears with lot of hair. You know who I am talking about? Lot of hair. And it looks at you and says, wow, you live like that sheep, you are me, I am you. We are one. How come you live like that? I am God. You are God. Then he picks you up with his mouth, takes you to the spiritual wisdom lake, shows the reflection. Suddenly you realize, oh my God, I shouldn't be fearful at all, because I am him, with the same hair, with the same voice, with the same beautiful. And then he looks at you and he says, look, my son, why fear when I am here? 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 So says Baba, Satya Sai Baba, Satya Sai Baba, my Lord. So says Baba, Satya Sai Baba, Satya Sai says Baba, Satya Sai Baba, Satya Sai Baba, my Lord. His biggest promise is, I am taking care of you all the time. Why do you have to fear and get agitated for anything in life? We get agitated, we get fearful because we have no faith. We inherently have faith as a quality within us already, but we don't connect to it all the time. So I was asking Swami what this faith really meant one time. And Bhagavan said, look, in India, these men, when they grow their beard, they have to shave. Olden days, they used to go to a barber because they didn't have all the gillets and all those things in those olden days, no? They go to the barber. And the barber starts shaving. And he was saying, when the barber is shaving and the knife comes exactly here, are you thinking, is this fellow going to continue or going to cut my throat? Which fellow is thinking he's going to continue to shave and you enjoy the shave, right? You have faith in the barber that he doesn't cut the throat. And you go to a new town and you have no idea where to go to a place, you get into a taxi, you tell the address, the taxi driver is driving you somewhere. You don't start questioning him, is this fellow really know the road? Is he going to take me out through the town? Is he going to charge me extra? Is he going to take me to some place and cut my throat and take all my money? Are you thinking all that stuff? No, at least not me. You sit in the back seat, you enjoy the ride, you ask him, hey London, what is this palace here? Oh, he will keep telling you, this is the palace of the Queen or whatever, and you are enjoying the town, and you go to the place, you pay the guy, and you get off your destination, and you're very happy because you have the faith in a taxi driver. You go to a doctor and he has to do the surgery for you, you have the faith, unfortunately. That they will do the right thing, and if the problem is with your right kidney, they will take out the only right kidney and not the left kidney. You have faith in a doctor. You have faith in all your relationships. It is an inherent quality within us. How is it that we have no faith in the God that He will take care of us? Kya ho gaya? Something went wrong in programming. Oh, is He really God? If He is God, why is He going in a Mercedes-Benz car? If He is God, come on, how is it that He is sitting in a wheelchair? If He is God, how come this? If He is God, how come that? If He is God, He said He will live until 96-year-old, how come He died only at 86-year-old? If He is God, this, what is all this drama we are running in our head constantly about God? And not have explicit, implicit faith in His word, even though He said, why fear when I am here? What is going wrong? Because we get associated with our mind. We first get associated with our body. We then get associated with the mind. And in fact, when I was in York Center, April, at the break, one uncle came and asked me, he's a very beautiful uncle from Guyana, and Darshan uncle. And he came and he asked me, but Shekhar bhai, nobody in this world is happy. He said, Uncle ji, you made the right statement. He said, sorry? Just see what you said. You said, nobody in this world is happy. That means if you are somebody, you are always unhappy. Hello, you are all blissed out. If you are nobody, you will always be happy. If you are somebody, you will always be unhappy. That somebody first starts with, I am a father, so you are a somebody, you have to pay the college bills, school bills, unhappy. You are a mother, you are a brother, you are a sister, you are an officer, you are the big president of the Sai organization. Everything somebody, unhappy. But if you are nobody, you are always happy. Because no expectations are set. So actually look at the word nobody. It is not nobody. You are no body. If you think you are the body, you are always unhappy. Because you are attached with an identity associated with the body. When you actually dissolve that identity associated with the body, then you are happy. Then there is a second word called I am nobody, nothing. What is a thing? A thing is something that a mind gives a value to. When you are not the mind, you are nothing. No body, no thing. Then what happened? The two major identities are dissolved. And this dissolution of the identities, brothers and sisters, is Siva consciousness. And when these identities are dissolved, then we are one with the nature. We are part of the creation of the God, you see. Because we lost the identity. We are one amongst many, many things. We are not the body anymore. Then we are part of this universal consciousness. And in this universal consciousness that we are talking about, it's the infinite manifestation of the divine cosmic energy, the consciousness. Sahasra Sirisha Purushaka Sahasrakshas Sahasrapat Sabhumim Vishwato Vrutva Atyadishtadashangulam Purusha Jevedagum Sarvam Yadbhutam Yaccha Bhavyamu Buddha Amrutatvasya Shalaga Yadannenati Rogati Yetavanasya Mahima. Then you are looking at this beautiful creation of the God, Sahasra Sirsha, infinite number of heads, Purusha, the consciousness, Sahasraksha, millions of eyes, Sahasrapat, millions of limbs, and this millions and millions of beings that are manifested is all the ones the infinite one has manifested into these finite things. And then what happened? Atyadishtadashangulam. This is where I got confused. And what he's saying is, all this infinity is all embedded in the space of 10 fingers. 10 fingers? What are they talking about? And I got lost. Ran to Swami. Swami, I don't understand this. How can all the infinity be in a space of 10 fingers? And then Swami looked at me and said, see, Bangaru, he is such an incredible lover and compassion that when he gives this wisdom, in fact he told me once, if you have a question, don't go ask Tom, Dick and Harry. If you have a question, don't go read books. You come, put your head on my feet. Mastakaanni pustakam cheyaku Bangaru. Mastakaanni paadalu daggara pettu. Don't make your brain into a book, bookish knowledge. You put your head on my feet. All the infinite knowledge is right there. And when he said, when you go on the top of a mountain and there is a beautiful panoramic view, you take your camera and you click a picture, the entire panoramic thing is now manifested in the very small space, in that pixel space. How is that happening? I said, because I'm a scientist, you see, PhD in biochemistry. He has to explain everything to me rationally. Otherwise this brain doesn't get it. I said, wow, that's cool, but what is this infinity in space of 10 fingers? Then he said, like this. He put his hands like this, and then he said, for every single human being, the space between the navel cavity to the bottom of their heart is embedded in 10 fingers. And then he said, the entire divinity is within you in the space of those 10 fingers. I was totally bowled. I was like, oh my God, where is this written? And I said, Swami, I was trying to ask him the question. Then he started chanting, Padmakoshak pratikashagum hridayamchaapyadhomukham atho nishchyavitasthyante nabhyam uparitishthati jwalamalakulam bhati vishwaschayatanam maghat santatagum silabhistulam vatyakosha sannibham tasthyante sushiragum sukshmam tasmin sarvam pratishtitam. And then he said, there is a lotus in the heart. And from the bottom of that lotus to the space of your navel cavity, there is the space. Within that space, the entire divinity is manifested. And then he started saying, when Buddha got confused about why there is suffering, Siddhartha, not Buddha at that time, Siddhartha got confused how there is suffering in this life, what causes suffering for life. He went into this deep contemplation, and when he sat under the peepal tree, and when he started focusing his mind, going inward and inward and inward, he connected to the lotus of the heart. And when he connected to the lotus of the heart, he started realizing that's where there is divinity. Om Mani Padme Hum, 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 Om Mani, everybody. Om Mani Padme Hum, 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 Om Mani Padme The supreme mantra of 8 letters. Om Mani Padme Hum. 8 letters. What it means? There is a jewel in the center of my heart. Mani is jewel. Padme is lotus. Hum means inside. There is a jewel in the center of my heart. I am going looking for these jewels outside and trying to give them value, but I forgot that there is a beautiful jewel right in the center of my heart. And that's what that Veda mantra is saying. And now you see, once we start doing this, the mind starts now asking the question about fear and suffering. It very quickly understands that the fear and suffering that is imposed upon us is an artificial thing. And the great Guru, Bhagavan Sri Satya Sai Baba, starts clearing the clutter associated with this fear. So then what happens? You become fearless. You are the lion. When we are fearful, we resort to violence. Himsa. Himsa, violence, comes from fear and stress, insecurity. Because we are losing something, we got to go grab something. We have to do something about something. But when we start using this fear Follow the master. Face the devil, the fear. Fight to the end. Finish the game. Namo Dundubjaya cha Kanandjaya cha Namo Drushnave cha Pramrushaya cha Namo Dhutaya cha Prahitaya cha Namo Nishangine cha Shudhimate cha Namo Stishne Shave cha Yudhine cha Namo Swayudhaya cha Sudhanvane cha Namo Srutyaya cha Pathyaya cha Namo Katyaya cha Nipyaya cha Namo Sudhyaya cha Sarasyaya cha Namo Nadyaya cha Maishantaya cha Namo Kupyaya cha Vatyaya cha Namo Vatsyaya cha Vatsyaya cha Namo Meghyaya cha Vidyutyaya cha Namo Idhriyaya cha Tapyaya cha Namo Vatyaya cha Reshmiyaya cha Namo Vastavyaya cha Vastupaya cha. The meaning of this Rudranuvaka means follow the master, face the devil, fight to the end and finish the game. How is it that the meaning of that mantra is that? Namo Dundubhyaya cha, Hananyaya cha, Dhrushnave cha, Pramrushaya cha. Dundubhi means the call. When the call of the Lord has come, come on, why are you sitting idle? Get up, brush up all your laziness, become a lion, go out, be fearless, serve the society. Then what happens? Dundubhya, you got the call of the Lord. When the call of the Lord has come, there is nothing that is stoppable now. Then you become Dhutaya cha, Prahitaya cha. You become His messenger. You start talking about His glory, His story, His life, His message, not about us. Swami did this for me, Swami did that for me, he created everything, he did that. To kya hai? Yeah, great. You make fantastic dish and you can eat and enjoy. What am I getting out of it? Nothing. Lose the identity about what Swami has done for you. Start thinking about what Swami has done for us as a message of living a life of Sai. Then what happens is, this Sai doesn't become anymore a person, an individual. A Sai becomes a phenomenon. Then you become His messenger. Like Moses woke up to the call of the Lord from Mount Sinai. And he started saying, with glad tidings, we serve on earth. It is only to love and serve the God. Leave to Hashem Basimha. Leave to Hashem Basimha. Leave to Hashem Basimha. Hashem Basimha. Come and serve the Holy One with joy. 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 This is what the Jewish sing. And what they are singing is, I die, I die, I die, I die, I die. When the I dies, then what you are able to do is come and serve the Holy One with joy. And this is the essence of every religion. This is the essence of every faith. Whether you talk about Hinduism, whether you talk about Islam, whether you talk about Sikhism, whether you talk about Christianity, every single religion, the bottom line is love and serve. Nothing less, nothing more. In fact, what they do in the context of the Islam is, they say you have to sing the name of the God all the time. Ali nu yaad karo, ral ke faryad karo, he garibada, he asra. Ali Mola, Ali Mola, Ali Dam Dam, Ali Mola, Ali Mola, Ali Dam Dam, Ali Mola, Ali Mola, Ali Mola, Ali Dam Dam, Ali Mola, Ali Mola, Ali Dam Dam, Ali Mola, Ali Mola, Ali Dam Dam. Ali Mola, Ali Mola, Ali Mola. With every breath, think about the name of God. Thank the God for what He has given us. Think and thank. Only difference is I to A. Think is about I. Thank is about Allah. When you are saying Allah Malik, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim, Qul huwallahu ahad, Allahu samad, lam yalid walam yulad, lam yakul lahu kufuwan ahad. When we thank the Allah within us, that is the way of life. Allah Malik is what Shirdi Baba said. Constant mantra of Shirdi Baba was Allah Malik. Allah Malik matlab kya hai? Allah is the one that is taking care of us. If we understand who Allah is, lakhte karore wari akho dam dam. With every breath that we are taking inside, for lakhs of times we are saying Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. So you see, all of a sudden you all thought I'm going to talk about Vedas, teach you Vedas, Rudram and all that. Suddenly I'm talking about Allah and Jesus and Buddhist. There is no difference between any of these things. It's the same consciousness, that the divine consciousness, that the wise had called to refer to it by many names. And brothers and sisters, therefore Bhagavan Ramakrishna says, 4 women carrying the water from different parts of the lake. One woman was saying aqua, one woman was saying water, another woman was saying pani, third woman was saying wari, another woman was saying tanni, another one was saying nilu, the fifth one was saying niru. The substance is the same. The names that are called are very different based on your own appetite and what you refer to, choose to call to that reference. Substance to ek hi hai. But we get caught up in the Maya. The Maya is what's called a drama, D-R-A-M-A. Drop the D, then you will feel Rama. But we want to hang on to the D. Everything. Without drama in life, kya hota hai? There is no fun anymore. So you create drama, you create the story, you want to play in this story. So much so that you think the story is the real thing and you forget who you are, what the purpose is, and why He has chosen to bring us together in this divine name and the divine mission. Sai Baba is the most supreme avatar that has taken on this earth. There will be no avatar like that, period. There has been no avatar like Sai Baba. I am saying it because not I want to convert you to Sai Baba. Because I am saying Sai Baba is the essence of means to an end. Doesn't matter what faith, what religion, what you take. Everything has to start with service, adoration, illumination and end in bliss, awareness, being absolute. Service, adoration, illumination is the essence of every religion. In fact, the Christians say, Adoramaste Christe, Adoramaste Christe, Adoramaste Christe, Kyrie eleison, Kyrie eleison, Kyrie eleison, Kyrie eleison, Kyrie eleison. Christ is not a person. Christ is consciousness. Jesus was the person. Christ is the consciousness. Sai Baba is not even a person. In fact, the word Sai Baba, how it came into existence? How did the word even Sai come into existence to be used by human beings? Who knows? Who in here can say how the word Sai came into existence? While I take a sip of water. Okay, let me remind you. The divine being got down of a Tonga in front of the Khandoba temple. And the priest of the temple, Mahalsapati, said, Ao Sai. Now you look at that incident. Just last week only we did a satsang in Shirdi Samsthan in Los Angeles. We had a beautiful, December 1st was Swami's star birthday according to Telugu calendar. So we celebrated in a Shirdi Baba temple in Los Angeles. And I was telling them about this story. When I was contemplating on this incident, I was asking Swami, please tell me what happened. Then he said, I got down the Tanga, Mahalsapati, the priest said, Ao Sai. That's how my name came into existence. Now I said, excuse me Swami, didn't you have a name your father mother gave you when you were Shirdi Baba? So for example, if I'm walking on a street, somebody is saying, Michael come, would I respond? I'll be looking around, who are they calling, right? Suddenly Baba got out of Tanga, somebody says, Ao Sai. Did he say, excuse me, my name is not Sai, my name is something else? No. He very simply accepted what a devotee chose to call him. That's what Baba said. He said, I have no attachment to this body or my mind. I have not come to establish a religion or faith in my name or in any other name. I have come to re-establish the Dharma. I have come to re-establish this love, the duty of love, the responsibility of the love. Nothing less, nothing more. Therefore, when a devotee calls me Sai or anything else, I simply accept because I am not bound to a name or an identity. I am beyond existence of existence. Om Sri Sai Sarvavastha Vivarjitaya Namaha. He has no state of being, you see, like we do. He is beyond all of this stuff. And hence what he chose to do was to simply accept what his devotee chose to call him. So therefore, Sai Baba is not even a name given to a person. Sai Baba was a name chosen to call by a devotee at that point, and God simply accepted it. Therefore, Jesus is the name of the person. Christ is the consciousness. Sai Baba is not even the name of a person. Sai Baba is a consciousness, period. Today we forgot that aspect of it. We are clinging on to calling him some form, some name, so that we want to associate with him with a picture, with an identity, with a statue. And he is saying, I am beyond all that. The only reason why I came into existence is to say, my life is your message, your life is my message. Love is my form, truth is my bed, bliss is my food. thank both my brothers here. They came all the way from Brooklyn. They're not Sai Bhaktas, but they are Sai Bhaktas. Hey, look at this brother. He doesn't know any of the bhajans I'm singing. I'm meeting them for the first time. It's the connection of love for God. That's all I want to say. Thank you.